When I was younger, I thought falling meant something had gone terribly wrong. I thought it meant I had chosen the wrong road, trusted the wrong dream, or somehow failed to become the kind of person who knows exactly where they're going. Maybe you felt that too. That quiet shame after a setback. That silence after life doesn't go the way you imagined. That moment when you look around and think, how did I end up here? And then the mind begins its little trial. It gathers evidence. It points at every mistake. It says, you should have known better. You should have been stronger. You should have seen this coming. But life is not a courtroom. It's much closer to a river. And a river does not stop being a river when it hits a rock. It bends. It breaks into foam. It changes direction. For a moment, it may even disappear beneath the surface. But it keeps moving. Not because the rock wasn't there, because the rock became part of the journey. So when I say, if you fall, fall forward, I don't mean pretend it doesn't hurt. I don't mean cover your pain with a motivational quote and call it wisdom. Sometimes falling hurts deeply. Sometimes it embarrasses you. Sometimes it strips away the picture you had of yourself and leaves you sitting there, tired and exposed, wondering who you are without the success, without the certainty, without the version of life you were trying so hard to hold together. But there is a way of falling that closes you, and there is a way of falling that opens you. The difference is not whether you hit the ground. The difference is where your face is turned when you do. Forward, toward the next breath, toward the next small light, toward the possibility that even this thing you never wanted may still contain a doorway. We often misunderstand failure because we imagine life as a staircase, clean, straight, always going up. One step, then another. A better job, a calmer mind, a stronger body, a more successful self. But real growth is rarely that neat. It feels more like walking through fog with a small lamp in your hand. You can only see a few feet ahead. Sometimes the path opens. Sometimes it disappears. Sometimes you take 3 careful steps and still end up in the mud. And yet, strangely, this is how we learn. Not by avoiding uncertainty, but by meeting it. Before you fall, you may think confidence means never shaking. After you fall, you begin to understand that confidence is still walking while your hands tremble. You may think courage feels heroic, bright, and dramatic, until life teaches you that courage can also look like getting out of bed when no one knows how heavy your heart is. That is not weakness. That is being human. A tree is not less of a tree because winter has taken its leaves. The ocean is not less powerful because the tide pulls back. The sky is not failing when clouds cover the sun. So why do we treat ourselves as ruined the moment life changes our shape? Maybe because we were taught to admire the finished story, the victory, the polished person. The moment someone stands in the light and says, I made it. But we rarely see the invisible middle, the nights of doubt, the private losses, the mornings when someone almost quit but didn't. And often, falling forward does not look inspiring at all. It looks like sending one more message, taking one more walk, saying sorry, asking for help, washing your face, breathing through one difficult hour and quietly deciding, I will not abandon myself here. That is where forward begins. Not at the mountaintop. Here, in this small, honest movement. We think transformation should arrive like thunder, as if one day the old self burns away and a fearless new version of us rises from the ashes. But most real change begins quietly, almost invisibly, like a seed underground. From the outside, it looks buried, lost, still. Nothing seems to be happening. But in the dark, something is splitting open. Something is reaching. Something is becoming. Maybe you are in that place right now. Maybe your life looks still from the outside and people don't see the work you're doing inside. They don't see you trying not to repeat old patterns. They don't see you learning to speak to yourself with a little more kindness. They don't see the quiet battle of choosing not to become bitter. But the hidden work is still work, and slow healing is still healing. A person falling forward may not look graceful. They may look uncertain, tired, even lost. But there is a deep dignity in someone who has been knocked down and still chooses to lean toward life. Not because they are sure, because they are willing. And willingness is often enough. After a fall, the mind likes to turn an event into an identity. It says, I failed, so I am a failure. I was rejected, so I am unwanted. I lost something, so I am lost. But notice what it's doing. It takes one painful chapter and tries to rename the whole book. Don't let it.
You can say, this hurt. You can say, I made a mistake. You can say, I am in a hard season. But you don't have to say, this is who I am forever. The words you use with yourself become the weather inside your mind. So speak carefully, not falsely, carefully. There is a difference between honesty and cruelty. Honesty says, this is hard. Cruelty says, you are hopeless. Honesty helps you stand. Cruelty only pushes you deeper into the ground. And perhaps falling forward begins with changing the voice that meets you when you fall. Not the voice that shouts, get up, you should be better than this, but the voice that sits beside you in the dust and says, I know, this hurts. Take your time, but don't turn away from your life. That voice is not weakness. That voice is wisdom. Because people do not grow by being beaten into shape. They grow when they feel understood enough to change. And this is why compassion is not the opposite of discipline. It is the ground beneath it. When you hate yourself, you may force movement for a while, but it is movement powered by fear. It burns hot, then collapses. But when you stand beside yourself with compassion, you are no longer running away from shame. You are walking toward wholeness. And wholeness does not mean you become untouched by pain. It means pain no longer turns you against yourself. Sometimes the fall is not the end of your life. Sometimes it is the end of a false life. A life where you were trying too hard to be impressive, trying too hard to hold everything together, trying too hard to become someone who never needed help. And then life interrupts the performance. It says, no more pretending. At first, this feels cruel. Later, you may see the mercy in it. Because maybe you were tired. Maybe some part of you did not want applause anymore. Maybe it wanted honesty. Maybe it wanted to breathe. So if you are standing in the aftermath of something that did not go as planned, be gentle with yourself. Do not rush to turn your pain into a lesson. Do not force yourself to be grateful too soon. Sit with what is real. Let the heart admit, this hurts. Then, when you can, take one small step toward what still matters. If you value love, do one loving thing. If you value truth, say one true sentence. If you value health,
Make one choice that honors your body. If you value creativity, return to the page, the camera, the music, the empty room where something in you still wants to be made. Do not wait until you feel completely healed to begin. Beginning is part of healing. Do not wait until the path is clear. Sometimes the path appears only because you are walking. And one day, you may look back at the place where you fell, not with bitterness, but with a strange tenderness. You may realize it did not destroy you. It revealed you. It showed you what could no longer continue. It taught you where you needed courage, where you needed boundaries, where you needed to stop betraying yourself just to keep life looking peaceful from the outside. No, you would not choose the pain again. You don't have to romanticize it, but you can honor the person who survived it. The person who cried and still continued. The person who felt lost and still listened for the next right step. The person who fell but did not fall backward into bitterness. You fell forward. Maybe only an inch, but an inch in the right direction is not nothing. It is a beginning. So fall if you must. Life will ask this of all of us sooner or later. But when you fall, let your hands reach toward what still matters. Let your eyes turn toward the next small light. Let your heart stay open, somehow, to the future. Fall with your face toward the horizon. Fall with one breath still saying yes. And when you are ready, even if you are not fully ready, place one hand on the earth beneath you. Feel how it has been holding you all along, and rise from there. Slowly, honestly, forward.